Hello and welcome everybody. I'm so excited about today's show, and you see my co-host is here, Dr. Sid Malone, our life coach. So you know when he's here, we are talking about relationships. And when we talk relationships, Dr. Sid, we don't just talk about husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, or whatever kind of dynamic you have on. We talk about mom and dads,
Yes.
sons and daughters,
Yes.
corporately,
Yes.
spiritually.
Yes. Because again, the word relationship, first of all, you look lovely.
Oh, and I love you in that. Oh, you're just so awesome.
Saying that.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to do a show every day just so you'll say that.
You do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But when we talk about relationships, of course, it's divided into two words. The ship is the suffix, and ship means the quality or the state of. And so the quality or the state of whatever word is in front of it. In this case, it's relations.
Yeah.
So the quality or the state of how we relate. And so that covers everything, whether it be husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, brother and sister. We want to improve the quality of how we relate to people.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about how important it is that we know opposites do attract.
Yes.
We've talked about how to be the right person while you are waiting on the right person.
Exactly.
And we've talked about just healthy relationships, how to maintain them, how to prepare, how to get in one. And today we agreed that we would talk about sometimes it just doesn't work out. Whether that's your relationship, personal relationship, your job, and then we're going to discuss should you give up on a dream and your purpose if it's not going like you thought it would go.
Oh, that's some good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff.
So let's kind of start at the top with our personal relationships. What are some signs that we should quit a relationship?
Well, I believe that there are a lot of symptoms that a person can experience when it comes to a failed relationship. Whether it be, well, we're not being intimate anymore, or we're having trust issues, different things like that. I think that one of the main signs of a person not really being in a relationship or should continue in a relationship is when you fail to communicate, or when you allow the communication aspect to die. Because effective communication, now I'm not just saying any type of communication, but effective communication is the lifeline to a relationship. And when you no longer have that or desire to have that, when you're no longer transparent, when you're no longer open, then it causes the whole relationship to tank. And so that's a sign that it's time to do something different when that communication stops.
Okay, so an effective communication, let's kind of define that, because for me, is we're using our monotone voices, you know, we're not yelling and screaming at each other. And then the other person is listening, not so they can hurry up and respond, but so they can get what we're saying. And they're able to paraphrase it, as some people call it, mirror what they just said.
Right. Well, yes, and to be fair, there's really not a relationship that's going to have that same monotone voice. Now, conflict is good.
Yeah.
Conflict signifies change.
I mean, in a point of discussion, because if you're yelling at somebody, I'm going to tune you out.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes passions can express themselves in different ways. And sometimes, you know, you can get in the heat of the moment. But what I mean, and that's true, we should always respect one another. Of course, I'm not saying disrespect people and think that it's okay.
But we know in the real world, sometimes it happens.
It
happens a lot. Okay.
It happens. But just because we're experiencing that, it doesn't mean that communication is failing. When we talk about effective communication, whether it be verbal or nonverbal, we're talking about still being engaged with that individual. Even though I might not like what's happening, I might not like our circumstance, I'm still engaged, I'm still here, I'm still focused, I'm still tuned in, I'm still sharing how I feel, what I'm thinking. I'm being transparent and open. The minute we begin to close our hearts, close our ideas, close our thoughts to the other person, that's when we cease to really effectively communicate.
Okay, so some people may say, well, I'm here, aren't I?
Right, and so is the light bulb.
Okay, yeah.
Just being present does not mean that you're connected, you're engaged. That's why I use the term engaged. We don't want to be two roommates.
Yeah.
People who are just coexisting or cohabiting with one another. We really want to be engaged in our communication, in our relationship.
Okay.
And sometimes, as I said, it can be verbal, or it can be nonverbal. You know, just for an example, if you were speaking to me right now and I'm just like, you know, looking all over the place and whatever, then I'm communicating to you that what you're saying is not really that important. And we've got to watch those types of cues and signs as well.
What about, and I see this a lot, and I don't think I'm guilty of it, at least I can't remember a time that I did it. I see when you're out, like at dinner or lunch, everybody's on their cell phone. You know, it could be 4 people, it could be 2 people, and they're all, you know, on their cell phone. So is that engaged to me? Is that engaged to you?
It could be. Yeah. If that particular situation or if that moment was, you know, it was open like that, nothing was being said. But another important aspect of effective communication is the listening. For an example, if you said, hey, I hurt my finger, and I came back and said, you know what, I hurt my foot the other day.
I hate it. I have a friend. I have several friends, actually. Right. No matter how bad your day is or when it is, they can top it. And so I am very aware when it happens. So, is it okay? Do you need anything? Right. But I don't give that. So I'm always the one that's got to give that. So for people like me and you, you know, sometimes we hurt, sometimes behind this smile, you know, there's a lot of hurt going on.
Yeah, it's lonely at the top.
Yeah. So, oh my goodness, I understand what that means now. So when somebody says that to you, should you just keep letting it slide, or should you bring it to their attention?
If you want to remain engaged in the relationship, it needs to be brought to their attention. That's a lower level of listening. People need to understand that effective listening is pretty much like being a mirror. The mirror reflects back to you what you give it.
Ooh, yeah.
And so when you are effectively listening, going back to that example, hey, I hurt my thumb yesterday. An effective listener would be, oh, you hurt your thumb, tell me about it. See, in other words, I'm reflecting back to you what you're saying, because sometimes in our communication, we can think we're saying one thing, but how it's being perceived is a totally different thing. So when the person is practicing effective listening, they give back to you what you are saying, giving you an opportunity to re-examine what you are saying, and then you can correct it and say, oh no, that's not what I mean. I don't mean to put it that way. This is what I'm really trying to say. That's what we mean by staying engaged.
Oh, in a perfect world, that would be so awesome. Okay, what about this? And then I want us to kind of move on to other relationships.
Sure.
But what about if that person you've called someone, you initiate the call to tell somebody some really amazing news. However, when they answer the phone, something just happened or they're having a bad day. Do you at that point negate why you call to just comfort them?
Yeah, well, yes, of course, you would call them.
I mean, it's not devastation. It's not, you know, like a tragic event. Of course, we know we would. But this is just something on the job that is continuously on that job, or the husband or the boyfriend is always acting up. So it's not like something brand new, but you can't share your good news because you're always having to babysit with them. So do you just drop your good news?
Well, let me put it to you this way. If you always have to do that with that particular person, it's time to look at that relationship. We need to re-examine what is this really? Is it a mutually beneficial relationship, or is this a cohabiting or a codependent type of relationship? You know, when a person, you call them with the good news and they immediately begin to go into their bad news, they're communicating to you. They're saying, I'm not in a position to listen to you. I'm not in a position.
And that I'm more important to you in this conversation is really what they're saying.
Well,
to me.
Yes. Yeah, because sometimes the people have a tendency really to be selfish. To be honest, they have a tendency to be selfish, and so they focus on their situation, or they're focusing on their comeback And so they're not really listening to what you're saying. Something might have triggered a thought in their mind, and so they're formulating this whole comeback in their head, and they're not following your train of thought. They've zoned out, basically. And so when they respond, their response has nothing to do with what you talked about.
I know, and see, what we're doing, we have to do both of those steps.
Exactly.
We have to listen for engagement, and then we have to listen to make sure we can comment properly, but also know what you just said.
Right.
So when you said selfish, so I want to ask you, and this is, I've been talking about this for a while.
Okay.
Is there a difference between being spoiled and being selfish in a relationship?
Is there a difference between being spoiled and selfish? To a degree, yes.
Okay.
It is. I think that every person, we don't lose our identity when we get in relationships. But I think every person at times, there's certain things in which they just want. They want to be catered to, or they need a particular thing.
Yeah.
And you know, people use the term, oh, you spoiled. Well, maybe I'm just in tune with what I need or what I want, and I'm not afraid to express it. Especially if I know that I am a giver.
Okay.
If I know that I'm constantly, in my position, I'm constantly giving out. Dr. Sid, what about this? Dr. Sid, what about this? What about this? And so I'm giving. Well, there are times when I need something. There are times when I need to get away, or I would like to be catered to. Now, if those times begin to have a consistency as to where every day I need something, I want something, I'm demanding something, I think that's where we're getting to the selfishness aspect. Okay. It's all right to know what we want, but when we start placing demands or manipulating people to get what we want, I think that's where we fall into that error there.
Okay, so if you see all these things happening in your relationship, he or she is not engaged in the conversation when you're saying, I'm hurt, and they go on past that, or they're always texting when you're talking to them, and maybe they don't come to you like they used to, maybe you don't go out like you used to, and all these little flags are coming up. Should you quit a relationship? And for the sake of this conversation, I'm not talking about marriage, because you know, that's just too many dynamics. We're talking about those who are not married, who are dating, shacking, serious about each other or not. But when should you quit if you're not happy in a relationship? I
think that there are like 6 stages that you need to be aware of.
Okay, 6 stages.
Before we talk about quitting or getting to the place of quitting a relationship.
Okay.
Shall I go into that?
Please, I'm ready to count.
You're ready? Okay. So I think that when we talk about a relationship, the first thing that we need to have in that first stage is we need to understand, why are we together? What's our vision for being connected?
Because I think you're so cute.
Oh.
Yeah, that's usually,
really?
yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Well, I hope you think that 20 years from now.
I hope you're still cute 20 years from now. But I think it's that superficial with a lot of people, though, Dr. Sid.
That's a very good point.
I'm laughing about it, but when guys approach, you're so beautiful, you're so this, but is that it?
Well, beauty, of course, is an initial attractor, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we've got to delve deeper. We must have a deeper meaning as to why are we walking together in this same direction. Because vision speaks to direction. And so you have to identify, are we still going in the same direction? Are we still headed down the same path? And if the answer is yes, but we're heading down the path in a rough manner, well, we can make some adjustments. But the first thing we have to identify is, am I and this my significant other, are we going down the same path? Are we heading in the same direction, or are we going apart from each other? That's a major indicator. Then after vision, we have to look at the trust aspect. We've got to look at the trust. Do we still have a viable trust in this relationship? Do we still believe in each other? Do we still believe in us? Do we still believe in our love?
Okay. So, do we have these conversations often, or do we have these conversations when there's a bump or two in the road?
I think that these are conversations, whether verbally spoken or non-verbally spoken. I really believe that these are conversations that are had every day.
Okay.
I believe that we examine at some aspect, when I get through these 6, you'll see, but at some aspect, we examine these issues or these stages every day, and we ask ourselves, do I still feel the same way? Is this still real for me? Is this relationship still relative in my life?
Okay, let me ask you this, and I know I keep interrupting you because
no, you're fine.
When you say those 6 things, I have so many questions.
Sure.
I want to ask, will these 6 things apply to other kinds of relationships as well? Because I'm thinking even in business with your dreams and your purpose, if your vision changes and it's a little bumpy, and okay, so if we add all these 6 up, okay.
What I'm giving you will not only apply to relationships, but it applies to the business dynamics, whether it be ministry, whether it be entrepreneurial, whatever. These stages apply. Do I still see the vision clearly? Is this company heading in the same direction? Can I see myself going up the ladder in this company? Can I see myself in this direction the next 10 years working for this particular company or in this particular field?
Oh, wow. If nothing changes, can I see myself still there? This is a great place, so I want us to take a break because you've told us vision and trust. And then we got 4 more to go.
We have 4 more to go.
And we'll be right back in just a moment. Everybody, don't go anywhere.
When life's this hard, graduating can be even harder. But you can help Ativa and the students in your community make it through by visiting boostup.org.